again, and welcome back to Red Room. We're going to be focusing in on a Primaris Captain that I painted in Dark Angels colours. But first of all, we're going to worry about doing the robes and doing the bones and everything. So we are starting with a base coat of burnt umber for the robes and scrolls. We are using black red from Vallejo for the bones. This is to give us just a little bit of contrast because these are all colours and all techniques that can end up looking remarkably similar. To start off with, this model's been base coated in Caliban green. I'm not bothering with any kind of zenithal highlighting here because I don't think it's worth it. You will forgive me for the amount of stuff that isn't in shot yet again. I have got to do some sort of well, I need a better camera. I suppose I'm doing this all on my phone, so it's not exactly ideal yet. So, but yeah, we're just applying burnt umber to all of the robes as a base coat. Not actually going to focus in on how we did the robes and the scrolls because it's not that dissimilar from the bones. So we will just look at that. And yes, I hear that there is great consternation and controversy around Golden Demon this year. I am so out of the loop. The last time I attended a Golden Demon was 2003, so it's fair to say things have changed since then. But I do find the decision to do it in Warhammer World was... it wouldn't have been my choice. And I can understand why a lot of people are moody, because I think it has diminished it somewhat. So this is black-red. And this is going to be used for anything involving bones or teeth, fangs. And yeah, this is it being liberally applied all over the skeleton that's been nailed to this shield in typical grimdark, over the top Games Workshop fashion. My major focus with this project was looking at doing one source lighting, which I've never done before and always shied away. Well, I say always shied away from. It wasn't really much of a thing back in the day, and now it's clearly become a much more prolific technique. So much like non-metallic metal. So I thought, no, I better get on and try this time. You're not going to see any of that process because it would make you want to pull your eyes out, frankly. It made me want to die, but I got there in the end. I'm not 100%. This is going to make. This is going to take some more practice, somewhat inevitably. If painting was that easy, no one would care about it, would they? But I am pleased with the results I achieved in the end. So yeah, you can see here the scroll's been painted in the burnt umber instead, and this is what I mean about just giving us a little bit of contrast, because if we all start from the same base, it will really look identical. I mean, I had thought that the Warhammer World thing was a decision that got, I don't know, I'm guessing it was obviously a bit more recent than I thought. I was there thinking, maybe that's just what people wanted, but this is painting in some Word Bearers red as the basis for all the red leather. But yeah, I assume that the Warhammer World decision happened a long time ago, possibly because of the financial crisis or whatever, but now think I'm getting the impression this is something they've just decided to do. Yeah, no boys. I know COVID will be the ultimate excuse. So here we go with highlighting the dark greens So we start off with some Caliban green, and then we're going to get some moot green. At this point I was also wondering to myself, would warpstone glow work just as well? So, but in the end I decided to not try that one. I don't think it was quite the right green we wanted. So yeah, mixing up moot green and Caliban green to give us our first highlight. And yeah, so I just put down a little bit of warpstone glow just to see, because obviously if it ends up being the same colour, or near as damn it the same colour that I'm mixing, I might as well use an already made paint and make my life easier. So again, as we've discussed in other videos, we start just doing all the rose bits, all of the bits we'd want to highlight, but leaving the recesses nice and dark. So any prominent points just getting picked out with this first highlight with, you know, a little bit of moot green in there. Yeah, just gradually building up the layers. Also wanted to make sure that I used, I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone with the sword on this guy as well. This was not an easy thing at all. So we're using our trusty old friend Orc Flesh Wash, and we're going to use this to shade everything now. So just putting this in the recesses anywhere that would be dark to give us a bit of contrast. At this point I've also painted the chest plate Aquila with I think it was bleach bone, wraith bone, and then given it a wash with some orc flesh wash as well, sort of tie it into the kind of greeniness. Not 100% happy with that. I think next time I'll try something else, but it was a worthwhile exercise, I think. So again, just shading the backpack now. And onto the helmet. It has been incredibly useful, this painting handle, gotta be honest. Wish I'd have got one of these a long time ago. It's stopped a lot of messiness. Not all things, but it is a worthwhile purchase. So now we're going to mix up our next highlight, which inevitably just involves more moot green going into the Caliban to bring up a lighter colour. It also amuses me every time I watch any kind of painting videos. Everyone's wet palettes are so neat, and they only like use them once. And then there's me, who is determined to get every little piece of use I can out of them, regardless of how filthy and hair filled they are. Certainly, there was a moment towards the end of this project where I had to go, no, this is just, I don't know where any of my paint splodges are. Alright, forgive me while I adjust. So, as we've discussed in other videos, the name of the game is to highlight with the secondary, highlight less than you did with the first, and then the very last one is just your edge highlights, which would be just pure moot green. This gives you a nice sort of graduated effect. I find that Caliban green, Dark Angels green, however you wish to call it, it does give a lovely, sumptuous, how to describe it, just a really lovely lustrous green. Oh wow, look at this camera work. Have you ever seen anything like it? I do have those orcs, those Bad Moon orcs are currently up for sale on eBay at the moment, and not getting a lot of interest. So if you would like to own them, please drop me a line on here or on Instagram, and we will sort something out. And in fairness, this model too will be up for sale soon as well. This is a very busy little model, I have to say. There's a lot going on here. And you've got to be careful you don't go too far with it, because you could just make it look a mess. And it's unbearably hot as well. That's the other thing we all need to think about. Painting is not a great deal of fun when it's this warm, but it's the reality we've got to live with, isn't it? So yeah, pure moot green for all the last edge highlights, which is what we're going to do now. And that's what gives us our lovely definition. If we could see what I was doing, of course. Yeah, Necrons, if you want them to be, can be incredibly easy to paint, because it is a case of slapping on lots of lead belcher and then washing it down with Nuln Oil or equivalent. But equally, it's like anything, if you want to make them look really fabulous, there's a bit more to it than that. But they are excellent models to start off with, and if you want to really nail your one source lighting, they are very forgiving, shall we say. And that is where we are with that. Nicely defined model there. Okay, so now we move on to dealing with these bones on the shield. This would have been something I would have looked at in the Bad Moon Orc videos, but unfortunately, yeah, that footage got lost. So here we're just mixing in some Wraithbone into the black red to lighten it up a bit. In a fit of absolute genius, I decided to put my micro SD card into my laptop in a unique and alternative way that meant it basically disappeared into the laptop and then required the spending of monies to have it removed and everything. And I don't at all feel like a plum now. Not at all. So that is why the last video wasn't quite, even by my standards, the polished work you would come to expect. Let that be a lesson to you kiddies. Tiny little things being put into laptops can sometimes disappear. So, we're just going to go and do all this lovely bone work, leaving the recesses very dark, but only the recesses, because obviously naturally bones are not a dark brown colour, generally speaking. That is just to give us a bit of definition in the shadows. And as I've said before, the scroll work is already done, because I think, yeah, it's largely the same, exactly the same technique. Just adding Wraithbone until you get to a light enough colour that you're happy with, that you say, yeah, that could stand for parchment or vellum or paper. Who alone knows what materials they used to write on in the 41st millennium or 42nd millennium, wherever we are now. I'm not 100% happy with how this shield came out, all in all. Yeah, I wasn't too sure what I was going to do with the trim around the edge. This would have been a really good thing to try non-metallic metal with, but one technique at a time, eh? One technique at a time. So now a lighter mix of black, red and Wraithbone is going on. I wanted the shield and the sword to sort of match in some respect, but yeah. And this is what it looks like after that coat is applied. This is where I find a number of Vallejo paints like Ivory and Off-White are particularly helpful. I don't know whether or not there's an equivalent with Citadel. Not sure there would be, to be fair. So now we really are applying the sort of last highlights here. Yeah, important to pick out all the knuckle joints and everything that's protruding. and the brow ridges and anything like that, and the teeth will be the things you want to pick out. And that is where we are with that. So these are the very last highlights, which involve, yeah, just off-white or ivory. You could just easily mix in some white into some Wraithbone as well to achieve the same thing. If I wanted to make my life easier, I would have done a glowing red effect onto the red sword rather than a blue effect onto a red sword, which, yeah, it was all the primary colours, green and blue and red, all doing battle, and I didn't have a breakdown at all. It was fine, But we got there, and I feel like a much better painter now because of it. When you look back at your old projects and go, huh, I could have done that there. That's when you know you've grown. And I think I was a bit stuck in my ways, so as you can see now, this is a considerably lighter boy to what he was at the beginning of this process. So this is the final highlights and everything, and this is where we stand. So I'm going to leave you here now, and we're going to see the final results.